Fake carrots. Fake fruit. Fake. Fake. Fake grapefruits. Fake. Liar! You liar!
Hey everyone, welcome to Sunday Night Live. It is time to get it on, folks. What are we going to do? We're going to talk SHTF, and it's time. It's Sunday night, and that's why we're live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thepreparedmind.club, subscribestar.com, and of course, YouTube Live. Now, I believe for people who are on subscribestar.com, you may need to put your whatever information is that goes in there to get things done. A lot of screwy stuff going on the internet lately. All right, there we go. Got the Artesia Bulldogs on notice tonight. We got a lot of stuff going down on the southern border, and Artesia Bulldogs, hopefully they're ready to fight. We got someone out there who is ready to fight, and it's none other than Chin Music. He did a $53.08 super chat donation. Wow, thank you, Mr. Chin Music. Now, he has something to say before we get to the Scotch. I'll explain that in a minute. But he says, tonight, note, at 6:30, Brandon Herrera, who is challenging Rhino Tony Gonzalez in the Republican primary, is holding a meet and greet at the Thirsty Horse. I'm going to look him in the eye and tell him I'm tired of all the bullshit and tell him to convince me he's different. I'll report back. Folks, that's the type of action all of us need to be doing. You've got a politician, state or federal, who's going to be speaking publicly, doing a meet and greet. Have some hard questions for him. Have some hard questions. For example, the Department of Homeland Security Chief Alejandro Mayorkas, he was spoken to by the media, and he refused to answer a question about the American in Georgia who was murdered, Lachlan Riley, murdered by an illegal alien. And Chief Mayorkas impeached sack of shit Alejandro Mayorkas of the Biden administration. Wouldn't say if the guy should have been deported or not. Well, it makes pretty good fucking sense to me. Someone was murdered. That person should have been deported. He won't say her name, folks. Won't say her name. Lachlan Riley, 22-year-old Georgian nursing student, an American, brutally murdered by one of Joe Biden and Alejandro Mayorkas's criminal, murderous, violent, illegal aliens that they allowed in the country. And by the way, President Joe Biden will not say aloud Lachlan Riley's name either, because they're afraid, because they know what they've done is wrong. Totally. Now, they got to get this on, right? Chin Music was right out of the box with a $50 or more super chat donation, and those super chat buttons, I think, are right up there. Anyways, this week we've got a brand new box, folks, a Glenlivet 15 single malt Scotch whiskey, and there it is. They did not have an 18-year Glenlivet or an 18-year Glenfiddich. I was surprised. They had 15 years, so I got a 15-year Glenlivet. And got to break the seal. There we are. And that is that. And this is this. And good golly, folks. Here it is. Glenlivet 15, brand new bottle. Thank you, everybody who last week tried killing me with love and kindness and support. There it is. Chin Music, Semper Fi to you. Godspeed down the hatch. And God bless America. It's so much, it's so similar yet so different than the Glenfiddich. Glenfiddich's got a little more peatiness to it. Oh, they did have an 18-year-old Macallan, but I'm not a Macallan enthusiast. It's a good Scotch, no doubt, but I think it's overrated and definitely overpriced. And in truth, I prefer the Glenlivet or the Glenfiddich 18-year to their 18-year. Now, we're going to slip right on over to Darcy T. And she steps up this week with her own super chat donation to start the show off, $50. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to have another taste of this 15. I kind of missed the Glenlivet. Kind of missed it a little bit. Kind of like an old friend you haven't seen in a while. So good to have you over. Let's catch up, shall we? All right. Down the hatch. Like mother's milk, I tell you. Thank you, Darcy. And this is what she has to say. Remember, if you've got a super chat donation, hit the button. It's going to look like a little dollar sign. Get your question in. We'll get it on the screen. Everyone will hear what you're thinking about, whether it's a prediction about the future, what's happening today, something in the past that we need to be wary of, anything under the sun. It can be education, military, geopolitics, all America, down south, up north, teachers, military, schools, law. It doesn't matter. What matters is you want to talk about it, and it's affecting our world, kind of like this from Darcy T. She says, "Good evening, John. With all of the rhetoric going on around the upcoming election and the continual push to divide the American people, do you reckon we will even have an election this year?" And she ends it with a salute. Oh, I tell you what, it is all about divide and conquer. It is all about identity politics. It is all about, for the Democrats, destroying this country while claiming they love democracy. It's about dividing the people and making them hate each other while claiming they want equality, but then they use the word equity. They are a nasty bunch, folks. Now, with respect to the upcoming election, Darcy, it's a crapshoot. I cannot come up with a solid prediction on whether or not we're going to have an election or not. Now, with respect to not having an election, not having a presidential election would be unprecedented in American history. I mean, we had our trouble with the War of 1812. That didn't bring down America. We had our trouble with the Civil War. That did not bring down America. We had our trouble, folks, with World War II. But this time the enemy is not in Japan or in Germany. This time it's not a North or South issue. Even the Civil War, folks, there was two Americas, one that said we don't want the federal government telling us what to do, and the other saying we want the federal government telling us what to do. But they were all Americans. Now, the people that are fighting against you and me are not Americans. So, with respect to the election, what would cause the Democrats to want an election? Number one, they need to have their cheating machine apparatus in place. And it is being challenged on every side. Keep fighting them. Call your state representative and tell them, state assembly, state senate, tell them, make sure our elections are fair. Stop them from cheating. Challenge all the addresses. Challenge the addresses. There's going to be false, fake addresses which are used anywhere from a dozen to hundreds of times by different so-called voters. Now, let us continue. What else could cause the Democrats to want an election? Well, if Trump gets arrested, told he can't run, thrown in prison, or assassinated, then having an election would be a no-brainer for the Democrats. Otherwise, folks, they've got some big problems. If they can't get the cheat arranged, if Trump stays on the ticket, they're going to have to abandon Joe Biden. And we know about that. Even it was J.P. Morgan's investment political analyst said, nope, Joe Biden's going to drop out between Super Tuesday and what? Right at the beginning of October, I think is what was said. In any event, yeah, if they don't have a replacement candidate who's worth the shit, and who have they put forward so far? Well, Gavin Newsom, who lost miserably just having a chit-chat with Governor DeSantis. So you got Gavin Newsom there. You've got Michelle Obama, who has never been a political figure, never been a public speaker, never been tested, never been verified to be anything other than a diversity, equity, and inclusion looking type person. And I mean that the way it is, because all you have to do now is say that you're a person of color, or you're black, and you're supposed to be given the keys to the castle. How about if you earn it instead of just saying, well, I'm a person of color, or I'm black, or I'm Hispanic, or I'm whatever. Who gives a shit? Prove that you've earned and deserve that position. So she hasn't proved nor earned it. All she has been is the wife of Barack Obama. Who else is left? Hillary Clinton. She kind of threw her hat back in the ring and made a fool of herself, and continues to make a fool of herself. Awful. So if they cannot get the cheat, if they cannot get rid of Trump, and if they cannot put up a decent candidate, then this is what I have to say, Darcy. It appears to me that they have two choices. Have a massive false flag World War III event to cancel the election, or, right, we need a complete and total collapse of the system, basically Mad Max overnight. Or they need to just give the victory to Trump and destroy everything. Pull the money out from under it, shut out the lights, and give him nothing but trouble. Right? Economic collapse, housing collapse, investment collapse, monetary collapse, international trade collapse, international communications collapse. Just collapse everything and then blame Trump for it. I think that that would be easier to do than it would be for them to cancel the election under the terms of a martial law, national world emergency. But we're going to find out, Darcy. We're going to find out. I tell you. Okay, so let's do this. I want to run back before we get to more super chats from you guys. Mr. Chin Music sent me something else. What does he have to say? Well, here we are. More racial division. Chin Music is saying this. I demand reparations from white liberals. Whenever you get into a debate with a commie Democrat, ask one simple question. Please cite for me the policy position that has been signed into law that I support that has negatively impacted your daily life. When you get tired of the theme from Final Jeopardy because they have no answer, turn it around and give it to them with both barrels. I did it last night at a social gathering. It was nothing short of glorious and culturally enriching for all involved. And I'm going to stop right here. And I'm going to say, folks, when you get to talk to these people in front of others and in public, at work, on the street, in a store, it is culturally enriching. It is educationally enlightening for all. So let me continue with Chin Music's information. He says, I don't always make friends, but when I do, it's usually at some lefty shitsack's expense. I really have grown to hate these fucking people. And there it is. There it is. He asked them a question that they couldn't answer. You turn shit right around on them, and they just collapse. Unbelievable. Good stuff, Chin Music. Thank you for the great super chat donation. Same with you, Darcy T. Now, let's move on to the rest of the show. We got 2 hours Sunday Night Live. And it's time, folks. It's go time. What do we have going on? We've got Jolene. We've got Uman moderating in the background, handling the big blue wrenches. You know. The big blue wrenches. You guys, though, are pretty awesome. You're great at policing yourselves and making this a libertarian zone. Let's do this. Mr. Uman, Jolene, who do we want to put up with a super chat? Question, comment, thought, or otherwise. And we're going to start here on the screen. Pow. Will Sevy with a $5 super chat. He says, how many freedom pill holders should a person have ready? Well, that's situationally dependent, Will. And I'll give you a couple examples. Let's just say you live in a highly populated area and you know you're surrounded by a rich and diverse Democrat population. You might want to have, I would say, 10 standard capacity 30-round magazines for your AR or your AK, depending on your preference. If you live in the country, you may have a different number that you keep around. You may only need 2 standard capacity 30-round magazines for your AR or AK, because it's going to take longer for people to get to your place, and odds are they're going to there's going to be a lot of notice. Now, in a city, things can change very quick. It can be peaceful 1 minute. In half an hour, you can have people stomping down the street, banging on doors, making demands, demands for your food, your weapons, your life, your daughter, what have you. So that's my recommendation, is understand the world you're in. Now, the reason I said 10 magazines for the big city is things can go quickly or things can go bad so quickly that you're not going to have time to load up. Now, everyone can have 10 magazines ready. It's not going to hurt anything. Won't hurt the magazines, won't hurt the ammo. But now in the country, let's just say you don't have them ready. If you hear from your friend Bob calls you, goes, hey, John, you're not going to believe this shit. Right? A big bus just showed up in town. And about 100 liberal screaming idiots got out with torches and pitchforks saying they're going to go through the country house to house fucking with people. You might want to do something about that. Okay, at that point now, you may want to go from 2 to 10. But I just think, all in all, it would be a good thing to have 10 magazines loaded at all times, because it doesn't hurt anything. And it does keep you prepared. Just be sure before you insert said magazine into said Freedom Seed spreader, you give it a good tap on your head. Make sure all the primers are seated against the bottom of the magazine so they feed properly. Old habits die hard. Thank you, Will Seffy. And we're going to continue now. A lot of crazy shit has happened over the weekend. I don't know if you're familiar with what has happened over the weekend. Let us go back to Friday. Something crazy happened on Friday. In Washington, D.C., on the COMEX exchange, gold, that funny yellow metal, gold closed at its all-time high. Its all-time high closing over almost at $2,100, all-time high. What does that say about the dollar? See, it's not that gold got more valuable, it's that the dollar became less valuable. Why? What is going on? And are you and me and everyone aware and prepared? We've been hearing for months, and of course I've been talking about it for years, that the banking financial and monetary systems are very weak. And we've been hearing that come March, there's going to be some trouble. Could this be a sign and symptom? And the big question is, why is gold at an all-time high and it's not being screamed about on the news? Well, they don't want to draw attention to the fact that the dollar is getting weaker. All currencies are getting weaker. Looking like a mess, if you ask me. So, there we are with that. Anyways, continuing. Gold. Yeah, what the hell? You would think there would be all over the news, a lot of people screaming and yelling. Oh, it's coming. It's really coming. Let's do this. I want to get this one onto the screen and off. It's very important. There it is. There it is. This coming way of Darcy T shot this email at me and wanted us to know that one of the guys who did voiceovers for Star Wars and the movie Gremlins died, age 64, in his sleep. Now, 64 is pretty old. He was not young. But with today's medicine, today's world, today's hospitals, 64 is not all that old either. Mark Dodson, massive heart attack, dead in his sleep. Anyways, he's a celebrity, famous, and not so famous that you think he'd be one of these lunatics. You don't get to keep doing voiceovers in Hollywood if you're always fucking up. Anyways, thank you, Darcy T. Just thought I'd bring you a take a wild guess type question. Now, we're rolling into March. Tomorrow is March 4th. We've been told there's going to be banking crisis, banking collapse, refinancing issues with commercial real estate, all kinds of issues. What do you want to talk about? We're at 300 people live right now up here. And if you have a question, Sunday Night Live is your show. Super chat buttons right up there. We also, of course, have a Venmo, PayPal, and CashApp down below. We try and make it easy so you can get your questions on the screen. Now, let us continue with what the fuck is going on the planet. I mean, a lot of people are saying it's just going to be go time. In New York City, a teacher, folks, forced a 3-year-old child, 3 years old, that's like a toddler still, stuffed him in a closet, terrifying him. Why would a teacher shove a 3-year-old kid in the closet? Not only did that happen, but the teacher said the Grinch would come for him. I'm continuing to have a hard time understanding why people, parents, are entrusting their children to state officials. A teacher is now a state official. They can call the police. They can call all manner of bureaucrats, child protective services. They can call a doctor and have your kid locked up. They can take your kid from you because they think that, that kid is saying they want to be a tranny. You may know nothing about it, and the teachers have been putting shit in their head. It's crazy. Why would anyone entrust their child to a state teacher? Teachers have demonstrated and proven more often than not in the news. I'm not hearing good stories about teachers in the news, folks. What I'm hearing is that teachers are perverted freaks who want to abuse children, throwing them in closets, taping them up, beating the shit out of students. And then students in turn are beating the shit out of teachers. They're convincing kids that, they're suicidal unless they get their genitals cut off. Right? These perverted freaks want to abuse children, folks. So we need to wake up ourselves, wake up America. Teachers are no longer a safe class of public servants. And remember that. Teachers work for us. They're public servants, just like police, just like judges, just like mayors and city councilmen. They're nothing but servants to us. Treat them like it. Treat them like it. Don't act like they are special and important. You are important, my friends. All right. Jolene, let's have some fun. Let's see what you guys want to talk about out there. It is, well, super chat time. All right. What do we got? Oh, shit. Chin Music is back already. He says, John, I'm considering scrapping Chin Music and self-identifying as Central Texas Director of Cultural Enrichment. Brought to you by the Prepared Mind channel. That is one hell of a long moniker, man. Take your name, pick it, man. I would create for yourself an impressive title. Central Texas Director of American Societal and Cultural Enrichment, and I'll fuck you up if you come across the border illegally. Yeah. You do what you got to, man. I tell you, it's a wild world, folks. In fact, there was a story I caught where I think it was a police officer in Philly or in Pittsburgh. I can't remember. May have been having a little bit to drink. Anyways, this police officer decided to sue his city and said, well, you are going to accept that I'm black. I'm identifying as black. Says if you'll accept someone's gender identification, then by golly, you will accept my racial identification. I can't wait for this argument to continue. Someone might say, well, you're not black, and be like, who are you to judge? How do you identify someone as black other than looking at their skin color? Well, what if they're very light-skinned and black? Or what if they're dark-skinned and white? Is there a DNA minimum threshold? Or can you just identify? What if you only have one out of the 20 characteristics? What if you have Asian characteristics? What if you have white characteristics? What if you have black? It's all bullshit, folks. Unbelievable. You should be the Central Texas Director of Culture Enrichment, Chin Music. I don't even think you have to identify it is. You just are. Cool deal, man. Thank you again for all the great support. I want to know what this guy says. When you ask him, can I, are you, whatever you fucking ask him, I want to hear about. All right, Jolene, Uman, where are we going to roll next? Who is up next on the Prepared Mind channel? And it is Will Sevy back with another $5 super chat. He says, a Marine once told me that battles are won by overwhelming firepower. Do you agree? Well, I'll tell you what. Yes, I can agree to that. It is not incorrect. Overwhelming firepower. So if someone shoots at you once, right, how do you respond to that? By shooting just once? Or you wait for them to shoot twice and then you shoot once? Or you return only what they shoot at you? Battles are won with overwhelming firepower very often, yes. The history, I'm thinking back through the study of Vietnam, World War II, World War I. The Marines have always been noted for battlefield tactics of overwhelming the enemy and charging and screaming their heads off. That's where they got the nickname Devil Dogs, by the way, because the Germans in World War I felt, I think during the Battle of Belleau Woods, that whoever was in the forest was screaming and yelling and scared the living shit out of them. They called them Teufelhunden, devil dogs. Anyways, in an ambush, if you're ambushed, you don't run, you don't hide, you charge at the ambush, and you try and use overwhelming firepower to defeat it, because an ambush is a horrifying thing to be in. To be just in training alone, it's horrifying to think that you're just dead. But that's how you do it. That's how you do it. You, from a defensive position, you have interlocking fields of fire to protect avenues of approach. In a in an offensive scenario, you're charging into the enemy with overwhelming firepower. If you have the opportunity, you use close air support from helicopters, Cobras, or Harriers, or whatever the jet is of the day, right? And you overwhelm the enemy and you drive them before you. That's how battles are won. Now, how are ambushes won? Well, that's a fun one there. Ambushing the enemy. If they aren't trained to handle an ambush properly, they'll just sit there and allow themselves to be turned into a meat grinder. It's war is hell. And it's not just overwhelming firepower. It's discipline. That's a huge part of any fight, whether it's on the battlefield or political or educational. Every fight is discipline. And always putting yourself in the best position to win. Whether you're debating somebody or getting ready to take them out with your freedom seed spreader, you have to be disciplined, you have to be smart, and then you don't give the enemy a chance to respond, to retaliate. And that's really what overwhelming firepower does. Now, a lot of people think overwhelming firepower is a waste of ammunition. It needs to be understood that a lot of things, calling it a waste of ammunition depends on a lot of things. If you don't have adequate supplies, you're going to be more judicious, more careful with the ammunition you have. If you've got plenty of ammo, plenty of backup, strong supply lines, then you need to use all the ammo you can for suppressing enemy fire, giving cover fire to your unit as it moves into better offensive positions to take them out. Right? It'd be better to use ammunition to defeat the enemy and protect your own people than it is to save it because you're afraid you're going to get shot for lack of ammo. But if you don't use it, you're going to get shot. So you've got to use it. So it takes discipline. It takes training. And these are things that are hard taught. They're hard taught because fear takes over, and that's where discipline is important. And I don't mean to belabor this too much, but I want people to get training. One of the best things you can do is go do airsoft or paintball. Even though it's silly, it's not life or death. It gives you a good idea of how people behave and tactics. It's just good. It's good exercise. It really is. I would recommend doing urban or doing it in the woods. It's quite interesting. And if you allow yourself to be put into that frame of mind that it's real, then that allows you to kind of manage the consequences of your decisions differently. In any event, folks, here we are. Definitely, here we are. We've got 350 people live. Hit the thumbs up right now. Hit the thumbs up. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. And finally, I want you to share the internet address right up there. Share that address with everybody. Friends, family, co-workers, etc. Share it with them. Silly chair. Share it with them so that they can join us. Okay, Jolene, man, who is up next? I've got my stuff I want to talk about, but what do you guys want to talk about? Who is here? I want to know the topic. I got to know what's next. I mean, these questions so far have been very interesting. Kind of took me by surprise in a way. asking me about magazines and such. Okay. While we're waiting on this, I want to go back and cover this. These people that are playing the identity politics and race card and race baiting bullshit. There was a Philadelphia employee, city of Philadelphia employee, but because they're transgender, they thought he would, fight with a state trooper, cause trouble, and then screamed, "It's because I'm black," right? Well, that happened because the she-he, that's right, it was a she-he, a trans testicle, had her pink-clad husband. He had his pink-clad husband detained on the ground, was filming it and screaming all kinds of stupid shit, playing the race card, and then the cop arrested it. Unbelievable. Now, there were multiple violations. Okay. Thank you, Uman. They had multiple violations with driving. Right, the car, it was, I think, an Infinity, so a nice car. But yeah, when you start talking shit, talking trash, trying to use your political power to get you out of trouble, and then being an idiot, getting arrested, just unbelievable. That you think that because you're a transgender gay of color that you're going to have special privileges, I think is fucking hilarious. You should have heard this fruitcake squealing and screaming like a Hollywood grade fruitcake. Oh my God. Unbelievable. And they're out there, folks. Don't worry. They'll have the police arrest you if they get a chance. Don't worry. Those are the people that are trying to deny you the right to vote while they give illegals all the votes they want to have. Okay, let's do this. Mr. Uman, what do we have next? We've got Dan Erickson with a $20 super chat donation. Thanks, Big Dan. And he says this: with over 100,000 people dying from fentanyl overdoses in this country a year, we are at war and our government just looks the other way. Well, Dan, I'm going to disagree with you. As much as I like your statement, as much as I think it is completely accurate, I want to look a little further. I don't think they're looking the other way, man. I think the government has joined the side of evil and they're attacking us in this war with drugs. I think you're being a little too nice. Our government isn't just looking the other way. They're making it easier for the drugs to get to America. I think you are a generous, decent human being, and you're giving them the benefit of the doubt. But, folks, over 100,000 Americans, including children, are dying every year from fentanyl, a drug being snuck from China into Central America, Mexico, and then being smuggled across the border. And the government it's not just looking the other way. It's facilitating. It's like, I'm not looking, but I'm going to use this key to open the door and let you in. They're intentionally bringing this shit in. And if you think the big guy and his cartel, the Biden family drug, sex trafficking, and bribery cartel, if you think that they don't know what's going on, then we would be naive, folks. They're not just looking the other way. They're doing it on purpose. Dan, I pray that you are prepared, that you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and your plan. I hope you've got it all set up, because when things get nasty, you don't have to be Marine Recon. You don't have to be 82nd Airborne. You just have to be an American who is planned and prepped and aware. And this show right here, being aware of what's going on is key. Is key. If you're told, hey, we're at war in this country, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm guessing it's China over here, and you turn your back on the communists behind you coming out of the colleges, there's a problem there. Yeah, we all know China is a problem. We all need to understand that Antifa, BLM, college students in general, pro-Palestinian types, and Democrats across the country, they are our enemies. They are the enemy of the United States of America. They're the enemy of the Constitution, and they hate all of us. So that's why we need to stay right here and keep talking about what's going on as we document the continual slide down into SHTFville. All right, Dan. Thank you, sir, very much. Great support, folks. All of your donations go to making sure I've got a tasty bottle of Scotch. Always terrific. But it keeps the lights on and the Spam and the tuna fish in the pantry. I want to thank you for that. It's hard work, folks, being a prepper. But I think the reward is knowing that we understand the world we live. We're not naive. And when things go haywire and take an absolute shit, we'll be ready for it. Okay, Mr. Uman, where do we go next? Uman says, my son says teachers these days are only aspiring OnlyFans models. That is fucking nasty, man. I don't want to say his name, but is that Mr. T? Okay, I thought so. I thought as much. Yeah, there's a lot of, teachers, well, also aspiring Democrats. Like that one from Virginia who was an OnlyFans. Was that OnlyFans or? Yeah, I think she was OnlyFans with her husband. Basically showing us how she likes everything her husband has. Yeah. And then she wanted to sue everyone for talking about her being on Pornhub. These people are special. I'm telling you, special. Okay, Jolene, where are we rolling? What do we got? What's happening? Did I mess up? No, it's Nancy Keg checking in with a $10 super chat donation. And she said, another family weekend happened for me. Now a great evening with John and the Prepared Mind family. Semper Fi to all. Thank you very much, Nancy. I appreciate the support. Every week you're here, and every week, all week long, Monday through Friday, you're with us as well, live. If you're a member of the preparedmind.club or subscribestar.com, folks, you can be on Monday through Friday live. Sunday Night Live, though, is the zoo. And that's when we bring out the YouTube. And I say to everybody, make sure you've thumbs up this video. Make sure you shared that internet address. Do it now. Do it. Hit the pause button. Do it now. Get people on here. I want us to head right over 400 live. Right over 400 live. Let's do this. Our country, folks, is the focus of the world. And the world is looking at America wondering what is going to happen. Viktor Orban. You've heard of him before, folks. He's the leader of Hungary, the president of Hungary. He has doubled down, saying we need President Trump. Viktor Orban says Trump is the only one who can bring a quick end to the Ukraine war and an end to the conflict, the fighting in Gaza as well. Now, during the campaign, Trump has talked about this, but he hasn't addressed things too deeply. Right? He hasn't criticized too much. I think it's because he doesn't want to undermine the administration, even though there is a strong disagreement. Now, when Trump was president last, we didn't get more wars, we got less. He talked down North Korea. He talked down Iran. He quieted things down in Syria. There was no problem in Ukraine. We get Biden, and what happens? You got North Korea shooting shit into the Sea of Japan. You have China threatening to take over Taiwan again. You have Iran supporting terror in Israel and threatening us, even though Joe Biden bribed them with billions of dollars. Billions of dollars were given. We now have a bunch of people with the, how do I say this properly? The unmasculine sounding name of the Houthis The Houthis are sinking ships in the Red Sea. If you go back in American history, there were a bunch of pirates, and they were known as the Barbary Coast Pirates. And the Marine Corps hymn speaks of this time. There were a couple of very large battles, and we could even say wars that were fought using Marines. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. That's right, the Barbary Coast Pirates, Tripoli. The Marines went over there and kicked the ever-loving shit out of them, because what were they doing? They were committing acts of piracy on the high seas, and it was affecting commerce for other nations as well as the United States. In other words, we don't need to be the world police, but somebody ought to be doing something about these cocksuckers. Anyways, that's just how I feel about it. I'm not in charge. But there seems to be a big difference between presidents like Trump and presidents like Biden. There seems to be a difference between presidents like Reagan and presidents like Clinton. Clinton, trying to hide his affairs, bombed a milk factory and a fucking aspirin factory. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff, I tell you. Anyways, there's a lot of leadership in and around the world that is supporting Trump. Viktor Orban in Europe, the president of El Salvador in Central America, the president of Argentina in South America, and I think Geert Wilders supports Trump. Many supporting Trump in Europe now, folks. It's going to get crazy. Let's do this. Let's do another super chat donation. What do you guys want to talk about? It's your chance. Hit that button up there, and we'll get you down there. We're down there. Will Sevy's back with a $2. He says, can we vote our way out of this? No. But you have to vote. You see, voting is not enough. And I think that's the mistake the common American, the average American thinks, is voting is all I got to do. We can vote our way out of this. This is where you and I, all of us, have made a mistake. We've gone every time. Every year we pay our fucking taxes. And then we go to vote and we're like, this is where we're going to commit our personal political power and punch that voter ticket. And we'll get someone in there that knows what to do for bullshit. That's a mistake I made for decades, thinking my vote counted, my vote mattered. They would listen to my fucking vote. No chance. You've got to do what Chin Music is doing that we're hearing about. He's going to his House of Representatives office in their district and telling him, no more bullshit. Do your job. Protect the border. Protect our rights. The First Amendment, Second Amendment, you don't get to touch, right? Lower taxes, lower regulation. Get the fuck out of our faces. Okay. We can't vote our way to prosperity. We can't vote our way out of communism. We have to take more action in addition to voting. You've got to take your fight to the streets. Free speech. I am not promoting violence, even though violence is going to happen. Free speech. Voting is a form of free speech. Yelling very loudly at the street corner, well, that's free speech. Going and talking to your elected representatives is free speech. It's protected. You can't threaten them, but you can tell them what you expect of them. You can tell them they've taken an oath. You can tell them there's a constitution that they swore to obey and uphold and defend. You can tell them what you think. Tell them to get rid of these fucking illegals. Tell them to throw them back across the border by any means necessary. Tell them to lower taxes, get rid of perverted teachers, fix the fucking military. That is how we get out of this, Will. And I'm glad you asked the question. I think you asked it in such a way to allow me to rant a little bit, right? We can't vote our way out of this. We have to take action. Prep to action. Get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and your plan. You'll find a lot of what you need to be prepared at the thepreparedmind.club. Thepreparedmind.club. That is how we're going to get out of trouble. And there's the Prepared Mother. She also has the blue wrench. The preparedmind.club, folks. I think you've got a link there now to coffeefee.com. Oh, she's all over it. Look at that. She, bam, was right there. What do you like?
I'm sorry to bust in on you on this, but you've been pronouncing that wrong for the last week, and I keep forgetting to tell you after the show.
Well, it's coffee fee.
Remember the Trump meme, Covfefe?
No.
Where he typed that Twitter thing where he said Covfefe. That's the whole joke.
Ah, okay. Well,
and everybody was jumping on him for not knowing how to say or spell coffee. So yeah, but everybody was pronouncing it Covfefe. Jolene is saying it's Covfefe, but
Covfefe, even Cofifi.
Covfefe, Cofifi. There's different ways to pronounce it, I guess. But
gee, you're telling me there's more than one way to pronounce this.
The way I've always heard it is Covfefe.
Covfefe. How have I been saying it?
Cofifi.
Cofifi? I like that. Coffee fee. Coffee Cofifi.
Covfefe. I'm sorry. I'll show my way out.
They don't have commercials on TV to tell us how to pronounce their product. What was the product they used to have that they didn't know how to pronounce? And they had to have someone on the TV commercial explain to people buying the product how to fucking pronounce it.
I have no idea.
What's that? What is that you're playing? Nuttin' bitch. It was for nut and honey, nuts and honey.
Yeah. Oh, well,
what are we having for breakfast?
You want to hear a real good one? Here, give me the bottle.
Okay.
Mr. T went out and bought some Lithuanian beer, apparently.
Mr. B bought
and we just realized tonight that it was really good, but it's
can of penis.
Can of penis.
Can of penis. It is a can of penis. Did you put your lips on that can of penis?
It's my favorite.
Oh my God. We looked at that this afternoon and we're like, oh my God, I can't believe we didn't realize this all weekend.
You put a can of penises in your mouth. What kind of is canapinus? That sounds more like it's Greek than Lithuanian.
Well, whatever it is, we were pronouncing it the way in our heads you would pronounce it, Lithuanian or Greek or whatever. But then all of a sudden we looked at it this afternoon. I was like, wait a minute.
Product of Lithuania.
I don't really know. Look. Just all I know is if you're going to be a Trump supporter, you got to grab him by the pussy, right?
Or the can of penis.
Or the can of penises. All right. Covfefe, Cofifi, Covfefe, coffee. This is now again, they're not paying us a fucking dime, folks. Use the prepared 10 is the discount code. Do that, but I think we got a link there that'll take you there from the preparedmind.club. Have you tried any of this stuff yet, man?
I don't drink coffee.
You don't drink Covfefe.
I don't drink Covfefe.
That's your problem. There's your problem. You need to drink some coffee. It's good for you. All right. Anyways, this one is huh?
I will show myself the way out.
Thanks, buddy. Well, maybe if I had more scotch, I'd be able to pronounce things better. Pronunciate. So, anyways, this one is the Blonde Wave, and I'm gonna do the last three coffees I got. The Blonde Wave is it dances on your palate like the stars and stripes fluttering in the wind. Isn't that patriotic? Anyways, again, these guys, they just sent me this coffee, and I want them to succeed. This one, there it is, Covfefe. Grab them by the beans. A blend that celebrates the patriotic fervor that unites us. It's more than just a cup of coffee. It's American pride in a cup. Grab them by the beans. I wonder what that's come from. And then finally, this is one that even the even the employees and owners have been waiting for me to talk about. Sleepy Joe. Kafifi Sleepy Joe. It's decaffeinated. And it says, this coffee attempts to exude power, but lacks the oomph to actually get things done. Currently, the house blend on Pennsylvania Avenue. Making fun of Biden the whole fucking way. Now, that is a coffee company, my friends. And the fact that they make a decaf just so they can make fun of Joe Biden, I think is fucking hysterical. All right. Enough of my poor pronunciation and my missing the joke. Let's do this. Let us move on, if we shall. What is going on? What the fuck?
Okay, now that we got the video back, you need to add the audio back. No audio. Sorry, folks. You either have to unmute your
that?
mic and oh, there we go. Now you got it. Sorry, folks. We suck at technology.
Unbelievable.
Must have been the can of penis beer comments.
It must have been the. It must have. It had to be the can of penis. All right. Here we are. I don't think I'm going to let Google and YouTube destroy my fun that easily. Let's continue. Do we have super chat donation? Do we have stuff going on? Anything? What are we going next? Jolene says Mike isn't connected to the StreamYard. I'm good though, right? Okay, I'm good. Okay, Will Sevey says, John, I will give you a crayon to eat if you will raise awareness about the power of radio. The power of radio. Well, I can share a story, but what makes you think I want to eat a crayon? Let's do this, Will. I'll say this about radio. Back in the early 1990s, after I was discharged out of the service, I listened to radio a little bit. Rush Limbaugh was back in Sacramento at that time, just at KFBK 1530 on the radio, AM. And he was talking on a daily basis. And there was other talk radio out of the Bay Area, Northern California, that made its way all the way to the Sierra Nevada. And Jeff Metcalf was that guy's name. Talk radio helped wake me up. I mean, back then the discussions on talk radio had to do with AIDS, HARP, the United Nations, the militia movement, the evil and danger of the Clintons, and that was basically it. It was. I mean, there was a lot to deal with, a lot to worry about. People were pissed as hell at what was going on in the country, but it was pretty lightweight compared to today. But the power of radio, it woke everyone up. It woke everyone up. Woke me up. And that power of communication, like one person communicating with everyone else, was huge. Absolutely huge. And it grew until the internet, right, found a way for just regular people like you and me to discuss what is going on, what needs to be done. And it's been one hell of a ride ever since. One hell of a ride. Anyways, that's the power of radio, folks, the power of communication. Now, radio traverses great distances, but a radio station can transmit 10, 20, maybe 50 miles. And if you're a 50,000 watt flamethrower, maybe you've got a 100-mile reach. But the internet, folks, the internet, they can listen to us, me and you talking down in Antarctica, as high as the Arctic Circle, and everywhere around the globe. Australia, Asia, Africa, Europe, South America, North America. That's the power of radio, the ability to communicate, free speech, sharing ideas that are unwelcome by totalitarian scumbags. That is why, folks, the printing press was so dangerous. This is before radio, the printing press. It was a way to put human thought on paper that could be shared in every direction. And because of that, kings and popes did not like the printing press. In fact, they didn't like people being educated at all. No school, no math, no geometry, no English skills, no nothing. Keeping people ignorant. The reason they did that was so they couldn't communicate and understand complex ideas, so that the super powerful could maintain that power. So that's the power of radio, folks. A little bit of education, a little bit of technology, a little bit of thinking on our own part, and we can affect the world. Thank you, Will, very much. Jolene Uman, who is next on the Super Chats? And it is Blue Cord Devil with a $50 Super Chat donation. Well, I've got the shot glass. I've got the bottle of Glenlivet 15 right here. Those are fighting spirits in that bottle, I tell you. Once again, that good, the bad, and the ugly reference. Thank you, Mr. Blue Cord Devil, for helping christen that bottle. And here's to you, Semper Fi, and cheers. Like mother's milk. Blue Cord says, you asked for another shot. Let me get you around. If you want more, just ask. Well, give me a few minutes there, Blue Cord Devil. Don't knock me out. But it's Sunday night, and I've developed a taste. I've developed a taste for Scotch, and I enjoy it on my Sunday nights. It makes for a rough start Monday morning, but I sure sleep good, if you know what I'm saying. And you guys keep the lights on. You keep the show going. Let's do it. Let's keep going with the show. Will Sevy is back again with another $2 super chat donation. And he says, I meant CB, GMRS, and ham radio. The importance of radios. Folks, here we go. There's a different selection of communications equipment at the preparedmind.club. If they want, they meaning the powers that be in Washington, D.C., if they want, we're in big trouble. If they want, they can cut all communication. They can kill the internet, our most powerful tool. They can kill cell phones, our next most powerful tool. They can kill, email. They can kill radios. They can kill everything. So we cannot communicate outside our range of travel. Like that used to be it. That's the 10-mile radius that's around you in the center. Is someone could travel to you, or you could travel to someone. You'll have a 10-mile per day look at the world. So having a CB, a citizens band, or a GMRS, or a ham radio, a handheld, you can reach out and touch other people further than that 10-mile radius. It's not a perfect world, folks. And right now we have so much radiation. Let me put it to you this way. During the daytime, your signal strength, your ability to communicate will be cut compared to during the nighttime when there's no sun in the sky, no radiation to speak of, messing with the signals. Now, ham radio, you're supposed to have a special license for. In an emergency, you do not need any license, because the idea is that communicating with others during an emergency helps people get to where they need to be to deal with the emergency. I'm sure they used to think of fire, tornado, hurricane, tidal wave. That was the emergency. Well, today the emergency is communists, socialists, anarchists, terrorists. That's our emergency. So having ham radio or CB or some sort of handheld communication, as well as a world band radio, those things will help you communicate. At the very least, you want to listen. At the very least, you want to listen and hear what people are saying so that you know what to expect. You have a better idea. You can inform those around you. If you've got a radio, you will be more popular with your neighbors. They will be more apt to listen to you because you can say, hey, I've been informed, I've kept informed, and I'm staying informed right now. And I don't think that's a bad position to be in with your neighbors when shit goes wonky. Thank you again, Will Sevy. Let's do this. Jolene Uman, who's up next? And we've got Boomer21 out of Canada with a $10 super chat donation. And he asked this, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are the chances of Brandon getting back in through cheating? Thank you, Jolene. Well, I tell you what, Boomer. Brandon meaning Joe Biden. Let's go, Brandon. I think the odds of him getting back in through cheating are pretty good. The odds of him getting back in through cheating, I think, are 50-50. Let's start with the obvious. Will his health allow him to make it all the way through campaign season into the election season? The last couple weeks, it becomes hardcore. Will his health hold up? He's been tripping, literally. He's lost on stage. He cannot read. He cannot speak adequately. He needs to be guided, literally guided by Jill, Dr. Jill, the wife. He is not going to inspire voting, Boomer. In fact, he's losing by the day credibility with Gen Z, millennials, Gen X. He's losing credibility with the Black minority population, the Hispanic minority population, and folks, all populations, all demographics, like the youth demographic, the minority demographic. He's losing all of that. He's going down. They've got to turn that ship around. So the question is, how are they going to do that? How are they going to do that? Well, I can tell you exactly how they plan on doing that. They plan on doing it by with fear. They want to scare and terrorize everybody that they can. Now, in England, folks, the UK, the English Prime Minister, his name is Rishi Sunak. Sounds British, doesn't he? Anyways, he has equated jihad, holy war terrorists. He's made them the same as far-right political opponents. He says they're two sides of the same extremist coin. Did you know that? That loving your country, wanting law and order, and respect for private property and private rights, the rights of the individual, wanting that is on the same extremist coin as radical jihad terrorists. Folks, we need to understand the need to make freedom seekers equal to religious terrorists. That's what the Democrats are thinking. They have that need because they're losing support. They need to scare everyone. Just as with the UK, just as with the European Union, right? The US politicians, they are screaming as loud as they can that we're terrorists, that we're bad, that we're evil, that we're trying to stop them from having their happy lives, whatever their happy lives consist of. I thought basically it's raping barnyard animals and stealing everyone's money. But we need to keep speaking loudly. We need to keep exposing their lies. The government is allowing terror, it is allowing violence, and it is using fear to try and get their voters to vote. I found it unbelievable. Unbelievable. I don't even know where to go with this next. I mean, get this. In Richmond, Virginia, folks, the mayor there, and yes, he's a Democrat, he is overly triggered. He's been triggered by President Trump, by his rally that was held there. And this mayor of Richmond says, Trump is not welcome. So, okay. So I guess now it's okay to be inhospitable to other Americans based on your political beliefs. Understand that, folks. It's okay to be inhospitable to Democrats, whether they're Americans or not, right? It's okay to be inhospitable. So the question I have is, where does this end? Does it end with a rude statement like this asshole mayor made? You're not welcome. This is a former president, a presidential candidate. And I guess the mayor really doesn't have any fear. Richmond, Virginia mayor, he doesn't have to worry about getting voted out of office, right? Does this all end if the mayor bans Trump and Republicans from entering the city limits, right? Is that when all the bad stuff ends? Well, what if the mayor evicts all Republicans out of Richmond, Virginia? Maybe the mayor should have Democrat communists start murdering Republicans as a warning so Trump never, ever, ever shows up again or even contemplates going there, right? It's a passive-aggressive, predictive terrorist threat in my book if even a hint of violence comes next from the mayor of Richmond's mouth. Remember, Mad Maxine Waters wants Democrats to get in your faces, follow you around, shout you down, chase you out of grocery stores, restaurants, any public place. Just short of violence. My response is whatever a demon crap socialist says, we should say the same thing instantly. We should say the same shit about them. They're not welcome in any city, in any town, in any county, in any state, anywhere. We should be sending them emails en masse saying the same thing. Oh, that might be illegal? Really? No, I don't think so. Fuck them, folks. You're allowed to email public officials. So feel free to tell the mayor of Richmond, go to hell, folks, because that's what these people deserve. After everything they've done to children, our citizens with their illegals, their taxation, everything they've done. Everything they've done. It's crazy shit. All right. Where do we go, folks? Where do we go? Jolene, Uman, do we have another super chat out there? What's going on with the questions? Holy cow, it's JC1701 with a $100 super chat donation. Good golly. Well, I've got the shot glass. And it has a 30 caliber round stuck in it. That's how powerful Scotch is. It can stop a bullet. Anyways, Glenn Levitt 15, thank you, Mr. John, for that terrific donation. Putting a nice little dent in that new bottle of 15. Semper Fi to you. And down the hatch, man. Wow. Good stuff. Okay, so John says, John must need some more lubrication. Drink up, Marine. Canna a penis sounds more for Big Mike and Barry to fuck Joe Biden. Canna a penis. Well, you know, it's apparently it's hard to pronounce things like kofefe. Well, people have been known to mistranslate Trump too. Apparently, a lot of people think he told them to drink bleach to kill the cerveza bug. Anyways, thank you very much, John, for that great shot. And now I've got some more for you. And I'm going to ask you once again. Here we go. Thank you, Darcy T, for this. Over in Europe, folks, the Danish prime minister, well, a candidate for the prime ministry, candidate Søren Pape Poulsen, dead, age 52, died suddenly. Darcy T says that the media reported he experienced a sudden illness during a meeting on Friday. At a political party meeting on Friday. He was taken to the hospital and he died. We're seeing more and more of that, folks. More and more of that. People used to have a heart attack, go to the hospital and live. Remember that? And then people started, going to the hospital, seeing a doctor, and the doctor says, you have high blood pressure. Let's fix that or take medicine to fix that. Same with cholesterol, diets, weight, everything. People living longer, better, healthier. But then we have people dying all of a sudden. Could it be the Jim Jones juice? I'm thinking, yeah. Folks, I can't believe this. We're an hour and 20 minutes into it. We got 350 people live still. Be sure and hit the thumbs up button. Let's do another super chat. Jolene, who is it? Uman, who is it? And it's Dan Erickson. He's back with a $5 super chat. He's back. He says, you guys are having way too much fun on this channel. Keep up the hard work. Much appreciated. Trump 2024 versus who? So I think this is important because Trump is going to be the presidential candidate for the Republicans. Well, short of him suddenly having a heart attack and dying or missing half of his head because he's been assassinated, short of that, we know Trump is in the race. He's in it to win it. He's in it to fight. He could, the same way in 2020, the same way in 2016, he could have just continued to live rich, fat, sassy, and happy. Instead, he's decided to fight for you and me in America. We need to tell Trump, support the Constitution. Talk about the Constitution. Talk about the Bill of Rights. Talk about the sanctity of property rights, freedom, our personal liberties. Tell Trump that, and he will get more people voting. There's no two ways around it. We have to wake people up and get them to vote and get them to take action. And that's really critical here. Taking action. So critical. And I want Dan to have as much fun as possible here on the Prepared Mind channel. Yes, the topics are serious. Yes, the consequences of bad SHTF are deadly, but we've seen our country take those deadly turns without us. We've seen it without, no matter what we do, the evil's going to happen, folks. What we want to do is wake people up, tell them to get prepared, and take action on their own behalf. Don't wait for someone else to do it, because no one else will. I'm not waiting for Chin Music to go rabble-rouse and stir up the shit in Texas. He's doing it on his own, and he's doing it for himself and his family and the right reasons. He's doing it for his country. All right. Wow. Where do I go here? What is on tap? You're going to love this, folks. On MSNBC, there's a guy named Donnie Douche. Literally, folks, his name is Donnie Douche. And he essentially agreed with me 100% about the Democrat plan, strategy for victory. Literally, victory. Donnie Douche says Democrats need to, quote, scare the shit out of people over Trump in this election season. And this is exactly what Democrats and mainstream media are already doing. They're saying, Trump, you're not welcome. Trump is a rapist. Trump is a Russian tool, a Russian asset. Everyone, folks, if you speak up against the Democrats, they're now calling everyone Russian assets, Russian stooges, Russian puppets. Same with Tucker Carlson. He's a Russian asset. No lie, folks, will be too wild. No Democrat lie will be too bold. And no Democrat lie is going to be too insane for them to not say it. They are that scared of Trump. And so they think they need to scare the shit out of people, and they're doing it. But the thing is, the things that really scare us as Americans are not being done by Trump. The open border with millions of illegals pouring into our country, kidnapping women, raping teenagers, raping young children, murdering teenagers, murdering adults, selling drugs, pushing drugs, stealing property, stealing cars, home invasion robberies, cold-blooded murder is what these illegals are doing. And none of that is Trump. That is all Biden. So the people are scared of these illegals. They're tired of being threatened by these illegals. Yet the mainstream media wants to accuse Trump of being the problem because they need to scare the shit out of people. Our military is being weakened. And folks, get this. I really spent a lot of time this weekend trying to read the propaganda about Ukraine winning the war against Russia. And I guess if you believe what they're printing and writing and saying, I guess if you read just that, you're going to think that America should be supporting Ukraine, that we should be sending more money to end the war. When in fact, the facts are quite different. Anyways, what a great show. I'm feeling the Scotch, loving it, enjoying the great super chat questions coming from you guys. And I guess we've got more. So let's do it. Jolene, who is up next? We're at almost the 90-minute mark. Who has the next super chat donation question comment for the board? Where are we at? Jolene says some may be having trouble with their payment on Subscribestar. That's subscribestar.com. We have premium members there. You just need to re-enter their payment details to make sure everything's set up. I guess that's an issue with Subscribestar right now. They're doing is this intentional? Is this accidental? Like PayPal is trying to ruin everything for everybody. These banks are trying to cancel. They're trying to go woke. The diversity, equity, inclusion crowds out there fucking with people. And Jolene says that we don't know why they're having trouble. Just re-enter your data and everything should straighten the hell out. All right. Okay. Thank you, Jolene, for that update. You guys got something to say? Super chat button's right up there. Get your question, your comments down on the board. And folks, we're going to have one hell of a spring here. March, well, spring starts on the 21st. But as far as I'm concerned, down south here, it's already started. We've got, what is spring? Rebirth. Well, politics, folks, it's waking up. People are realizing that Biden is a complete sack of crap, that he's dangerous. And that's good. People need to realize who their enemies are. Now, everywhere in the country, every state, we've got some trouble. Right? Even in Texas, there are liberal blue cities. You got judges in Texas trying to screw up Texas. Every southern state needs to protect itself first and foremost and do everything they can to make Democrats uncomfortable so they fucking leave. Right? I think I'm going to do what the mayor of Richmond, Virginia says and say to all Democrats, all liberals, all communists, all Antifa and BLM, you're not welcome here in the South. I think you should get the fuck out. And on that front, in Florida, folks, Matt Gaetz, who is he's a representative in the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. Guess what? He is the early front runner for the next Florida governor. You bet. Florida is protecting itself. Governor DeSantis will be done in, I believe, 2026. So who's going to protect the state of Florida after that? Well, you've got apparently Matt Gaetz is running out front already. Well, behind him is another big name, Representative Byron Donalds, who has come out swinging as a pro-America, pro-Constitution type of guy. And also AG Ashley Moody is also in the mix. We need, folks, not to just vote, as discussed earlier. We need to vote and we need to tell these people what we expect of them and what we want from them. If we don't, they think, well, Americans don't care. They're just kind of up in the air. I'll just do what I want. If you call them on the phone, email, text, write, comment, message, carrier pigeon, I don't care how you get them the message, and tell them, I want my constitutional rights protected. I want my property rights protected. I want the government out of my life. I want the government in Washington, D.C. to stay the fuck in Washington, D.C. Right? We need to all do that in every state. Whether you're in New Mexico, whether you're in Texas, whether you're in Florida, whether you're in Georgia, this is how it needs to happen, folks. We need to tell these people voting is not enough. Voting is just part of the process. Part of the process. Okay. I want to give you guys a little World War III update, if you will. A big World War III update. Over in Ukraine, English troops, folks, the British military, they are now giving instructions. They're directing the airstrikes for the Ukraine military. You got it. Germany is openly discussing destroying the bridge to Crimea, the Crimean Peninsula, which used to be Ukraine, and Russia said, no, sorry. That's part of Russia, always has been, and we're taking it back. Right? That's what we got, folks. The World Economic Forum, the global banking cartel, the aristocratic elites, they want world war. They need to hide everything that's been happening. They need to kill as many people as possible. They need to rewrite what government is supposed to be. They need to take away this concept of freedom and liberty. They want to replace it with something else. It is a wild world, folks. What do you want to talk about, though? This is Sunday Night Live. We're at the 90-minute mark. We've got 30 minutes left in the show. 30 minutes. So super chat button up there to get your questions down on the screen. I want to know what you're thinking. What's important to you? What is happening? So, World War III, they're still pushing for it. They really are, folks. They're pushing for it. This year is going to be heavily politicized. We're going to have big-time military confrontations and fear. Democrats are pushing the fear. And I've got this for you. Down in Argentina, the libertarian leader, the president, Javier Milei, he made the most watched presidential speech ever. And guess what he has? He has a 10-point plan to save his country, and he's proposing that, to save his country of Argentina. When I read that, I thought Trump needs the same damn thing. He needs a contract with America. He needs a list of promises that he is going to return our nation to greatness. Right? It's public relations gold if he came out and said, these are the things I'm going to do. Right? I'm going to stop all the unnecessary war. I'm not going to support unnecessary war. That's a great start. What do you think Europe would say to that? They'd be like, oh, shit. Right? How about a promise of we're going to rein in the Washington, D.C. bureaucracy. We're going to defang them. I'm going to take out the FBI, take out the CIA, take out the IRS. He needs to promise he is going to fix them. I don't want to just hear, let's drain the swamp. If Trump had a compact, a contract, a deal, a set of platform promises that he is going to enact, can you imagine the effect that would have on people? Because they could get a hold of it. What are the Democrats promising? They're promising to allow more illegals in the country. They're showing us through their actions that there's no jail time for criminality. Go ahead, assault people, rob and steal from stores. Hell, you can even murder people and skate. During the Biden administration, there have been more people killed in what I call hate crimes. And the perpetrators of the hate crimes, the murder, they get off with limited, if any, jail time. Not all, folks, but enough that it's got our attention. Trump needs a contract with America, a series of promises to inspire the American people, to give them something to vote for. And people already have a huge reason to vote for Trump. Do they not? But if he spells it out very clearly, I think it'll go a lot further. Right? A contract, a deal. I think that's brilliant. Jolene, let's do this. Who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We've got oh man. Blue Core Devil's back. back. And he says, hey, another 15-year single malt Glenlivet Scotch. Woo! I tell you, this is good Scotch. Good Scotch. Thank you, Blue Cord Devil. I was getting a little thirsty. I probably need at least one more of these before the end of the hour. Salut, Prost, cheers, Semper Fi, God bless America. Oh, man. Okay, this is what Blue Cord Devil says. He says, hey, just saw a news alert that the Supreme Court of the United States, a.k.a. SCROTUS, the Supreme Court could decide about Trump on the ballot tomorrow. I believe that case is for Illinois. Am I correct, Mr. Uman? Illinois. There's a judge there said that she's going to throw Trump off the ballot. If I am correct, Uman is not giving me any signs. Let's see, Colorado, they tried it. Colorado, they tried it. They threatened it. New York State threatened it. California threatened it. Then California AG said, nope, not happening. Incredible. Incredible that some judge, someone thinks they can just take the president off the ballot. Colorado was arguing in court. That, Trump shouldn't be on the ballot because of, the January 6th insurrection. And the attorneys fighting that just had a field day, making them look stupid. It was incredible, folks. But Trump on the ballot tomorrow. The Supreme Court of the United States. We've been told by the Democrats the Supreme Court needs to be disassembled and removed. They cannot be trusted. The Democrats can no longer trust the Supreme Court of the United States to make the proper decisions. But we can trust a lower judge at the state level in Illinois or Colorado. It's quite unbelievable, folks. But the Democrats are losing their shit over this. They don't like the fact. The Supreme Court's also going to be looking at Trump immunity. Trump immunity. Does the President of the United States have immunity? One of the things that was one of the arguments was, he's subject to extortion and blackmail from anybody over anything, right? If he doesn't have immunity. The arguments are deep. The arguments are complex. The arguments are difficult. But no former president of the United States of America has ever had to deal with prosecutorial attacks from Democrats across the country, as well as private idiotic citizens wanting to sue him for rapes that never happened 25 years ago. But yeah, the Democrats are going to lose their shit. They're so fearful, Blue Cord, so fearful. And that's what they want to do. They want to threaten the American people, the Democrat voters. If you don't get out and vote against Trump, he is going to take away abortion. That's right, folks. I'm not making that one up. Trump had nothing to do with the Supreme Court decision to throw out Roe v. Wade. Nothing. Not a fucking thing. Joe Biden was president when it happened, but they're blaming Trump. Fear, fear, fear. And by the way, abortion has already been turned into a state issue. It has nothing to do with Trump or Washington, D.C. anymore. But this is where we're at. This is where we're fighting, folks, on the information level. If you are a good American, if you're confident, if you're not a fucking criminal, you have so much influence, whether you're on the radio, on the internet, listening to the radio, right, at a company lunch. If you have got your shit together and you can speak intelligently about these topics, then guess what? You are more powerful than you know, and you can convince more people than you know. I would love to be able to talk to Democrats and ask them why, right? Why they're voting for Biden, What is it about the Biden administration that's worth voting for? What have they done to make America a better place? Not make America great again. Make America a better place. How have they helped Americans? Well, they let in all the immigrants. Those aren't Americans. How did that help Americans? How did that reduce our deficit? How did that increase our productivity? How did that make America safer? How did that reduce crime, reduce drugs, reduce human trafficking? How did it do any of those things? It did none of those things. In fact, it did the fucking opposite. How can you vote for something like that? Crazy stuff. We're at an hour and 40 minutes, folks. I am supercharged. Got a brand new bottle of Glenfiddich 15-year, and it's not so new anymore. We've taken it down quite a few notches. You guys have been fantastic. Who's up next, Jolene? Who's there, Mr. Uman? We have Mr. Skylight checking in with a $19.99 super chat donation. Thank you so much, Mr. Skylight. And thank you for the prayers out there. A couple of you know about some family issues I'm having, and the prayers, I think, are working. Thank you much. So Mr. Skylight says, quote, and he's famous for his quotes, "No problem can withstand the assault of sustained thinking." End quote. That is from Voltaire himself. Voltaire was an 18th century philosopher from the 1700s, back before, during, and after the American Revolution. Voltaire, folks, was offering at that time modern philosophy to a world that was ripe for change, away from control by the church and control by the state. And when I say control, I mean authoritarian, totalitarian, total 100% control. And Voltaire was instrumental in that. Right? The changing of thinking. No problem can withstand the assault of sustained thinking. It's how I solve my problems, folks. Whether they're work problems, personal problems, philosophical issues, I think about it until the answer is clear. I go to good friends and other authoritative sources to make sure that my answers are good. And that's how you win, folks. You keep fighting. Keep battling. Thank you very much, Mr. Skylight. I will keep battling as well, and I'm glad that you are, and all of us are, folks. And get this. Senator J.D. Vance roasted Mitch Turtles McConnell. He says, quote, "You can't have another Republican leader who seems to ooze hatred and dismay for the very people who vote Republican." This is a great quote from Senator J.D. Vance. Tell the truth. This is what every senator and every congressman should do. Tell the truth. Not their own personal truth, the real truth. They need to act in accord with principles. Zero compromise, folks. Every time Republicans compromise, the Democrats win. They win a little piece of your freedom here, a little piece of your property there, a little bit of your rights there. No compromise. Zero compromise allowed. There's nothing left to give except, well, to surrender. We've given everything else up short of surrendering. So we cannot compromise anymore, because any compromise is the equivalent of surrendering at this point. And I do think Senator J.D. Vance is correct. Mitch McConnell, sack of shit. His replacement, John Cornyn of Texas. They call him the traitor from Texas. Gun rights groups, folks, have blasted, insulted the shit out of John Cornyn, who wants to be the leader of the Republican Senate. Now, my question isn't so much about John Cornyn. My question is about Texas. Of all places, why would the great Republic of Texas have an anti-gun senator? How does he stay in power in Texas? How does he convince Texans to keep voting for him? Democrats are not going to vote for Republicans no matter what in a general election. So he thinks he's going to get more votes because he's going to appeal to Democrats by being anti-gun or for common sense gun control. No, John Cornyn should not be the leader of the Senate. In fact, he shouldn't even be a fucking senator. He is a traitor from Texas, as far as I'm concerned. As much as Google is treasonous to the intelligence of man, well, their Gemini artificial intelligence has been being attacked lately for, quote, erasing white people from history. And there's a massive outrage. People are speaking up. Do it, folks. I'm telling you, do it. Speak up. There has been a massive demand that the CEO, Sundar Pichai, I don't even know what the hell that is, say his name, Sundar Pichai, he needs to resign. He needs to be replaced. I think Americans are sick of racist assholes like Sundar Pichai. I don't give a fuck if Sundar is from India or Pakistan or Afghanistan or Turkmenistan or Kirkplekistan. I don't give a fuck. If he's super rich CEO of Google, he's a fucking racist. And he is an anti-American racist at that. And he needs to be thrown out of his position. Now, here we are. 15 minutes left in the show. Let's do it. Let's do another super chat donation. Who is it that's up next? Jolene, we've got Nelson Garcia. Whoa. Nelson Garcia with a 99 super chat donation. Nelson Garcia. Here it is. Now, in the past, Nelson has made donation. It was a while ago. I can't remember. If you've got a question or comment, Nelson, there it is. First of all, I want to salute you. I do like your avatar. Unfortunately, it's not a religious channel, so we can't talk about good and evil, demiurge, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, Nelson says, John, maybe I am changing the topic, but it is all related. Do you think there is another entity, UFO, Area 51, that is in the background controlling I am going to say, I don't like the word control. I'm going to say there is another entity that is influencing, and it influences from behind the scenes. I think it influences using money. I think that it influences using brainwashing, indoctrination. It uses the ignorance of people, and it preys on the emotional weakness of those who are dumb, who are mentally weak, who don't understand, who aren't thinkers, but rather followers. People who think tend to be leaders. People who don't think tend to follow. Now, whether this entity is a supernatural entity or even a, how do I say this, semi-spiritual entity, like a multi-dimensional entity. And I'm not speaking about this in jest. Those entities exist. Now, could they be UFOs, as in aliens from another planet? Or are they aliens from this planet? Are the aliens and supernatural entities, are they one and the same? Are they competing with each other for control or influence? I don't know, folks. I've seen a lot of strange shit. I'm 54. I've seen a lot of strange shit. I don't even know where to begin. You guys know about Bigfoot. Bigfoot has followed me all over Northern California. Not the same one, but they just seem to know. There's a connection there. There's some sort of thing. I've seen unidentified flying objects. I don't know if they were American or an alien or a supernatural being manifesting itself in the form of a UFO. That's all I know is a UFO. I've met lots of people who have dealt with Bigfoot, UFOs, ghosts, ghost hunters. I myself have done some ghost hunting and discovered that they are very real. No seances, no Ouija board, just showing up at a haunted location and being knocked out of my fucking bed, literally onto the floor by a ghost. Area 51, I've driven by it, but I did not want to have my kids arrested with me. I'm Nelson, I'm not trying to make light. It's all related. The influence, and I've talked about this lately, is evil. If you are prescribing for humanity that they eat bugs, that they own nothing, that they obey the state, that they take harmful, dangerous, experimental concoctions and inject it into their bodies to battle what the CDC now calls flu. It's evil. Mr. Garcia, the fact that people who are supporting abortion scream and yell at the top of their lungs, "Hail Satan," and they think that aborting babies is a religious sacrament, that the Church of Satan has representatives that openly talk about them and support them in Congress, at the state level, as well as in the federal government. Yes, they're in the background. They're also coming into the foreground. They're influencing at work. Diversity, equity, inclusion, folks, is evil. Critical race thinking is evil. Communism is evil. Socialism is evil. Government control above and beyond managing and protecting its people, managing the affairs internationally for the people, not managing the people themselves. It's evil. Government is insane, and it is insanity, and it must be controlled and contained. It is a fearful servant and a terrible master, government. And governments have, every time they demand totalitarian control, they become murderous. Over 100 million people murdered by evil communist socialist governments. Evil, Mr. Garcia. Evil. Thank you for the support of the channel with your monetary contribution, your donation. Thank you for the great Scotch as well. And thank you for the topic. It is, folks, real. The evil is real. Cafe. The Cafe Cup. You can put their internet address back up there. Again, they're not paying us, right? Prepared10 is your discount code. Prepared10. Go to cafefe.com. Cafefe.com. Go there and get your patriotic, anti-evil, go to hell, fuck Joe Biden coffee. And they even have Sleepy Joe decaffeinated. But they make good coffee. I'll be having cups of it tomorrow. Okay, now, what do we got? We have a little bit of time left. Do we have super chats out there? Anything coming up, Joe? Holy cow, it's Blue Cord Devil one more time. Woo! Blue Cord Devil back with a $50 super chat donation. And here we are again. We're putting a big old dent in this bottle of Glenlivet 15. And folks, the difference between a 10, a 12, 14, 15, or an 18 and 20-year Scotch, it's, you can tell. Like mother's milk. Thank you, Blue Cord Devil. Salut. God bless you and everyone else. God bless America. Man says I'm a troublemaker. Who, me? You're a troublemaker, man, but you're a good one at that. Ooh, I'm feeling that one all of a sudden. Okay. Or that could be Nelson Garcia's kidding me and and Blue Cord is going to get me in another minute. Well, I got a little less than 5 minutes to go. Questions, comments? This is your last chance on this Sunday Night Live. Hit that super chat button right there. Let me know what's on your mind. I got some stuff to talk about here. Now, there's a guy out there. His name is Mohammed Abdul Karim. What did he do? Well, this model citizen, this illegal alien, not model citizen, decided he was going to shoot up a Southern California dental office. One person dead, 2 people injured. Are you feeling safe under Joe Biden? We have never had so many mass shootings, attempted mass shootings, transgender murderous rampages. Never had more than we've had with Biden as president. So, I mean, who was that bank said, what's in your wallet? Hey, what's your everyday carry doing for you? Is it making you more comfortable or less comfortable? And it's hard to carry a weapon all day long, folks. Ammunition is heavy. Guns are heavy. I get it. I went and helped someone pick out a gun a couple of weeks ago. And there's a woman, and we looked at different models of firearms. They have some incredibly light firearms out there now with the alloy frames, just incredible. Sleeved alloy barrels. It's incredible to make things lighter, more comfortable, but still, whether you've got that or you've got an ancient 1911 made out of steel like I have, full of, I think, 185 grain hollow points. They're pretty heavy. It's heavy, but I tell you what, I'd rather have my everyday carry on me than not at all and have someone like Muhammad Abdul Karim show up and start shooting up the place. That's the Democrats. That's the evil. That's what they want. Yeah, model citizen. Wow, this is incredible. I still got time. There's an update. Sleazeball Judge Engoron, the schmarmy, schmalzy judge who screwed Trump over. Well, he hasn't gone back to the Equinox gym since James O'Keefe exposed him as the creepy, perverted, Biden-like behavior man. I think it's fucking great. I think it's great. The gym has been told not to say anything about other members that go there. Equinox is getting themselves boycotted and canceled for allowing sleazeballs like Judge Engoron to come there. My recommendation, boycott. Holy cow, that Scotch is good. Boycott Equinox gyms. Now, speaking of boycotting, we need to get rid of another, shall we say, lighten the loafers type Anderson Cooper, Mr. Pinocchio himself, and other high-profile CNN hosts, folks. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. Nobody watches those losers, folks. No one watches them. And it looks like they're getting closer to getting fired under the current management because they're not getting the views. You know what the problem is? The problem is not Anderson Cooper. He's fine. He is a silver-tongued lying sack of shit. What is the people that are writing the news for him, the agenda and the narrative that they're operating under, no one cares for. No one gives a fuck. That's why no one's watching them, and that's why they may need to be fired. Now, on MSNBC, Joy Reid, I see you, Jolene, Joy Reid says the United States Supreme Court. Joy Reid says SCOTUS is trying to make Trump president for life. Did you know that? More fear, right? More fear. Joy Reid says Trump for life. I personally have concluded Democrats believe all these stories they tell themselves. Now, not many people watch MSNBC or CNN or give a fuck about Joy Reid or Anderson Cooper. They don't. But I have concluded that those that do watch believe this bullshit. And they're doing more than just scaring their retarded TV viewers with lies, folks. Now, what I want everyone in the news media, the mainstream media, and everyone who watches them and reads their shit, I want them to triple or quadruple their antidepressants so they can sleep at night. This is the scare tactics they're absolutely using. Trump is going to be president for life. How can the Supreme Court do that? It's not possible. The Supreme Court interprets the law. They don't make precedents. It's how fucking stupid the left is, folks. Those are the lies, and people do listen to that shit. That's why if you sound intelligent, you can put any Democrat online. You could go tomorrow to work and say, hey, did you know that Joy Reid said the Supreme Court is going to make President Trump president for life? And if they're like, yeah, she's right, then you just go, where is it in the Constitution that it says the Supreme Court selects, elects, and picks who's president and determines how long they can stay in office? What article? What section is that? Crazy stuff. All right, well, we've gone past 2 hours. We're well over 300 people. We're at 316 live. And I'm going to hear, since I'm John and there's 316 people live at 2 hours, that means something. There's a super chat donation out there. Another comment question. Jolene, who is it? Let's see who's up there. Holy cow, it's Dan Erickson back again. And I'm just going to have to follow orders sometimes, Mr. Erickson. Another shot of the Glenlivet 15 right here to end the show on. You guys have kept me lubricated. You've kept me energized. You've kept me entertained. You've kept me semi-inebriated. You've kept the information flowing. Keep the spirit and the fight in you, folks. The same way I'll keep these fighting spirits in me, like this. Oh, thank you, Dan. And I really do wish that you and everyone else here that have shared these 2 hours, and before it's all over, thousands and thousands and thousands will read the questions, listen to the responses. They'll read the comment section. They'll learn, folks. That's what we're doing here, is sharing ideas, and we need to help other people learn what is going on out there by documenting what's happening, and for them to learn to think for themselves instead of listening to the mainstream media or government, which says, well, Trump is destroying the country, And it's like, Trump hasn't been president for over 3 years, you dumbasses. The Supreme Court's going to make him president for life. The Supreme Court is doing no such thing. It has no power authority to do that. They don't have the election. They don't participate in the election unless there's a legal question brought before them, but they don't certify the results. Nothing. So Dan says, have a drink, Marine. You the man. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm just one more American out there. And I want everybody to know that they can make as big a difference or bigger than me by being the good person that you are, helping other people wake up. Folks, everyone is going to have a chance to be a hero for yourself in your time, in your place. We can do that right now. We don't need SHTF and gunfights on the street to be heroes. Stand up and fight for your rights now. No one even has to know you're doing it. You can just be the hero you've always wanted to be. You can be that hero you've always wanted to be. By calling, writing, notifying your congressman, your senator, your state assemblyman, your state senator. Send them text message after text message every day. Day after day after day. Be sure to have something to send to all of them. Blind carbon copy. BCC them on the same email. Attention, representative. You took an oath to the Constitution. Obey it. defend the Constitution, defend the people of the United States against tyranny and all enemies, foreign and domestic. We are going to hold you accountable. Now, I just got a message from Chin Music. And he says, let's go, Brandon Herrera. He says, like him in they. Seems genuine. And he's homeschooled, which he said saved him from being gay and taught him how to run a business. We shall see. And right here, I've got a picture on my computer. Well, Mr. Herrera and Mr. Chin Music. And he is standing there next to a senatorial candidate who's got a thumbs up. And Chin Music is wearing his liberals suck shirt. And so that Viking has talked to that guy. And that's what we should all be doing, is talking to our elected representatives, those who put themselves out as candidates to represent us. Tell them, if you're going to represent me, you will follow the Constitution, period. I'm glad you got to meet him, Chin. I'm glad you were straight shooter with him. I'm glad he took it like a man and supported himself. And he actually came out and said, hey, being old schooled, being normal, protected him from the gay agenda, showed him how to run a business. He says he seems genuine. But here's the important part. Anyone that's sent to political office at the state capitol or Washington, D.C., they will immediately be bribed. They will try and grease their palms, folks, put money in them, do everything they can to get them to sell out. That's why you need to be there to support them and say, hey, we're going to hold you accountable. You sign anything, you do not support freedom, and we're coming after you. Coming after you. Anyways, I want to thank everyone. Chance favors the prepared mind. Tomorrow, Monday, March 4th, eyes open, eyes front, watch your six, watch your peripherals. Shit's going to get weird this week. I haven't said that in a while, but it's going to get weird, as in weird. Thank you to everybody for the super chat donations, for keeping us on the air, for paying the bills, keeping the lights on, and of course, making sure we have enough Scotch to keep us properly lubricated. I think I would rather have Scotch as an antidepressant than antidepressants. I think I would rather have Scotch as a painkiller rather than taking prescription painkillers, which are addictive. I think I would rather have Scotch as a mild sedative to help me relax rather than taking prescription sedatives. I think I would rather have Scotch to keep my blood thin rather than taking Coumadin and other prescription drugs for plaque and cholesterol and heart disease. I'll just stick with the old-fashioned stuff. You guys be cool. Chance favors the prepared mind. Aren't you glad you are a prepper? Godspeed, Semper Fi.